Mahal ko ang Pilipinas. I'm a mountain person more than a beach person. And I get to raise a hand. Sino yung beach person? Taas ka lang. Okay. At sino yung mas gusto bundok? Taas ka lang. At yung iba gusto niya city. O baka farm. So, this morning, I'm here to share new stories about regenerative tourism. I was talking earlier with some of your teachers, and I mentioned that tourism has the special gift of enhancing whatever it touches. But enhancing is neither good nor bad. Kung bad yan, ma-enhance yan. Kung good yan, ma-enhance yan. Right? So it is the ultimate double-edged sword, and it is also, in many ways, the ultimate marketing. Right? And while during COVID, tourism was shut down, very painful for business practitioners like me. We also saw na yung tao, dahil kailangan niya magpahinga, tourism is a necessity as well because it helps people rest, right? And for you guys, now that so many places are open, seeing the country is something that you should do because in it is where our identity lies. So, again, I'm an entrepreneur. I focus mainly on sustainability and then recently understanding the concepts that they're trying to do regeneration as best as I can, right? With me in the back is my teammate Jess over there. Jess, raise your hand. So later, kung may tanong kayo, pwede nyo tanong mo. So let me kick off the story with this graphic now. It's an elder Dumaga talking to a big company who wants to work in their land. This is a common story for us in the Philippines because about 30-40% of the land is actually indigenous land. Right? So, yung Dumaga, ang sabi niya, para sa amin, gusto namin na development. Pero ang ibig sabihin ng development, alagaan ng lupa, alagaan ng tubig. Hindi lang tao, hindi lang pera. So what is he saying? He's saying people, planet, profit. Right? He's not saying profit and people, which is what most businesses do. And this particular story talks about the sustainable development goals. Memorize 2017. But in many ways, he's explaining the synthesis of it in that way. And so, we take the next step into climate change. My dad studied in UP. Right? He's a doctor today at AGH. He was valedictorian as he was in grade school. And zoology major siya, so science. No? So I asked my dad one day, Dad, naintindihan mo ba yung climate change, carbon, tsaka stronger storms? Sabi niya, oo, anak, naintindihan ko lahat, pero hindi ko mapaliwanag how they're connected to each other. So then there, I had this realization na kung si Papa, hindi niya maintindihan, at si Papa is already science major na siya, in his generation, he's one of the smartest. How the heck does everyone else understand this? Which means, if he doesn't understand it, it is likely most of our decision makers today who are at dad's age do not see this. And so I made this set of slides for him. Last year, we had 4 storms. Wala tayong pasok, walang trabaho. So, record-breaking, right? And how did it happen? The sun, it starts with the sun, the sun warms the planet. The yellow arrows are the beams of light that are heat, right? So anything green that grows here comes from sunlight energy, right? Now the Earth has a natural mechanism where pag ayaw na niya, pinabalik niya sa outer space. So that's the orange light. However, if you have carbon and carbon equivalents, so that's methane, right? They act as mirrors in the sky, and so the heat that's trying to escape will be reflected back down the red arrows, right? So what does that mean? Yung heat na palabas, biglang papasok, so magiging kulog yung mundo. Do you know the feeling of walking into a car that was parked at the noontime sun? Di ba kulog ang init? Diba? And you want to open the windows so that lumabas. Because if you just jump in and you open the airport, it's still hot, right? So that's what's happening to the planet. It cannot release the heat. Right? And with increased heat, the heat goes back to the Earth. Now the Earth is what? 70% water. And so when that heat touches the water, more ocean water starts to evaporate. So water vapor goes into the sky, clouds become very heavy, right? And so it starts chain of events, stronger wind because of the change in temperature, stronger waves, and then it gets gloomy. And if the sky is very heavy, eventually babagsak yan as different storms. That's basically how it's connected, right? And I start with this story because this is going to be the story, our story. Next 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to have to deal with this depending on how we implement our careers, how we implement our lives, how we implement our businesses. So we are today what we call at the 1.5 degrees past pre-industrial levels target for carbon. No? So it's average 1.5. So on a good day, that might mean it's only 1.5 degrees hotter than before. But on a bad day, it could be +6, it could be +7. I saw historical data. Metro Manila's sunrise temperature in the year 1900 was 21 degrees Celsius. Can you imagine that? And then if you look at old Manila pictures, for the tourism students, di ba lahat naka-long sleeves siya? Wonder why hindi sila nainitan? Because daytime temperature was 25. It was different back then. No? But for us, it's different. No? We would hit 55. No? And then it leaves a lot of kids scared. Some of my nephews and nieces. Pag umuulan, takot sila. Dati, pag umuulan, happy ako walang pasok. Pero it's too strong already. Right? And so, what is driving this issue? Right? Where is the carbon that's making the storm stronger, making the storm come from? This is a summary of Stanford University. Right? And they have several factors here. How you move things in your transportation. Right? Is it gas powered? Is it diesel? Is it efficient? Or is it electric? Etc. How do you power yourselves? How do you power this building? How do you charge your phones? The Philippines uses mostly coal and oil energy. Many are transitioning to solar. Hydro's having a hard time kasi nga the water system is not stable. Right? Next is the pharmacy. Fixed food. It's a cow because beef is high in methane. If you're eating, if you eat a burger, it's worth about 20+ kilometers worth of carbon. One burger. Right? Beef is 5 to 6 times more potent in carbon than pork, right? Even more than chicken. So if you're eating meat, because we do a lot of trips as a company, we handle schools, forms. Beef is normally not on our menu. And we're lucky because when in the Philippines, we're excellent at pork and chicken. Beef, excellent tayo. Konti lang yung natin. So even in the tourism industry, we're trying to influence the carbon footprint of our trips, right? Next, protecting nature. Tree planting, mangrove planting, conservation. If you're familiar with Masumi, so they do as well. Right? It's important, but look, it's only 7 gigatons. It's as big as eating food. But protecting nature, maybe you can do once a year. Eating food, you do 3 times a day. So it is a big factor. So what we serve in our tourism, what we serve in our homes is major factor. Next is cleaning up industry. The world is going to double the number of cities by 2016. This one now. So it's like adding a New York City every month for the next 20+ years. Right? Can you imagine that? New York City size piece of cement. Kasi Metro Manila, every month, ganun kadaming cemento. And every kilo of cement, every kilo of steel, is worth 1 kilo of carbon. Right? So those are the things. Then the last thing on the right, remove carbon. That's the carbon that everyone who's dying has put in the atmosphere. We have to remove that too. If not, we suffer the consequences, very dire consequences. So what we're experiencing today, hindi pa yan yun. Our goal is to get that to zero. Right? Not to 1, not to 2, to 0. Right? And it's a consensus with World Economic Forum. It's a consensus with the UN. It's a consensus with billionaires like Bill Gates. Like, if the billionaires in the UN agree that this is bad for business, we better believe that. So, in the Philippines, this is our context. Sugar industry loses 1/3 its income, right? Coral reefs are starting to heat up, and with the heat stress, what happens is that they produce less fish. Coral reefs produce 1,000 kilos of seafood per hectare per year. So if your coral bleach, 50 hectares of corals bleach, you lose 50,000 kilos of seafood per year. Who suffers? The fisher folk. Okay? And how much is fish today versus fish 20 years ago? It's different, diba? Napakataas because the production is going down. And then Kasiguran Aurora hit 60-degree heat and index in August 2023. So that is absolutely crazy because 60 degrees is toxic to your body. Right? It will kill you in that sense. No? So, when we look at nature, because we do regenerative travel now, this is the initial slide. In year 1900, we were 70% primary old growth rainforest. So those are trees that are 100 feet tall, takes 10 of us to hug, right? Very, very old. Right? But between then and 2016, it was destroyed. We lost most of the forest, less than 8%. No? And I found this quote in a book. No? It talks about year 1900. Because in year 1900, what happened? Based on history books in the world. You know? There was a meeting in Paris, and Spain said, hey US, I'll sell you the Philippines for $20 million. Right? That happened. No? And the US said, oh, we're interested. Let us, the senator said, let me justify to our president why we should spend that money. And here's the justification. Speaking before the US Senate in January 1900, Senator Alfred Beveridge called for the continuous US involvement in the Philippines. One of his strongest arguments was, quote, the wood of the Philippines can supply the furniture of the world for a century to come, and wood and other products of the Philippines supply what we need and cannot ourselves produce. So, liberation, yes, from Spain, but also economic extraction in that sense. Forestry is renewable, but judged by the result, it was not renewed. And so that effects on us are unseen but felt. One is trees necessarily cool the area, 10, maybe sometimes 15 degrees Celsius. You lose the trees, you lose the cooling effect. You lose the cooling effect, you lose the ability to produce a microclimate. Maybe your grandparents would say, dati pupunan araw-araw sa hapon. Very regularly. That's a microclimate driven by rainforest. But without it, it gets hot. And so on top, you have what maybe Singapore will look like. Singapore is very climate conscious. All the roofs are white, so many trees. But in the Philippines, downtown of different cities, mga bayan, nothing. It's so hot. And our farmers are the ones that are suffering the most. So, storms also are a lot bigger. Right? And then I'm sure you're familiar with flooding. Right? Now, what we're pushing for is that hopefully more people plant trees because each tree can hold up to 2,000 liters of water. The big ones at least, not all species are the same. Right? And then you see here, rivers have lost about 75% of their water flow. Right? That did 2,000 liters per minute, now 500 liters per minute. Right? And this is the effect, this is how it works now. You've got, this is a simulation of a mountain without trees on your left and a mountain with trees on your right, as represented by these planter boxes. Watch how the water moves in both boxes. What's the difference? Can you share?
Faster flow of water and movement of sediment.
Dun sa left, the sediment, it's taking the soil with it. That topsoil is where the healthiest part of the soil is. So if you're a farmer on that land, you have to refertilize, magastos. And then that's a landslide, a flash flood, or a river that's getting shallower and it will cause flood. Siltation is what we call it. On the right side, the water stream, it's coming from the bottom, which means it went into the aquifer. That's where you get your liquid water. It's slow, and even if it's no longer being water, I mean no more rain, it's still flowing. So that's a waterfalls, that's a river, that's a stream. So the question is, if these two boxes were mountains, right, and you have a house at the foot of a mountain, where do you want your house? At the foot of the mountain on the right or the one on the left? On the right. Except most of our mountains are similar to the ones on the left. Kasi Marikina Flats, Cap Flats, even Antipolo Flats. So, the consequences are difficult. There is a move to lower price to 20-something pesos per kilo. It's a dream. In other countries it is. Some people say it's seeds. Some people say it's soil. Some people say it's technology. But tell you a story. I was driving through Tarlac, and then I went to this gas station, a cheap gas station, non-branded. And then I saw a lot of farmers lined up. So I asked the farmer, Kuya, but parang ang dami mong tank ng gasoline for gas there? He's buying 300 liters of gas. That's good for 60 novas at 11 liters. Sabi niya, sir, kasi may deep well ako sa farm namin. Wala kasing tubig. So, I buy the oil, tatakbo ka generator, kukunin niyo yung tubig from 300 feet under the ground. Doon ko napapatubig yung rice farm doon. And so I asked the businessman, how much does this cost if you're doing that? It was about 9 pesos per kilo of rice. So, can we get 20 plus pesos per kilo? Not if we cannot fix the water issue. It's so big, about 9 pesos per kilo in that sense. And so that brings us to this site. This is our home site in San Felipe, Zambales, where we do ecotourism. And I think one of your teachers who used to be surveyed has it. Yeah, she's been to this region, right? And our goal here is to restore 4,000 hectares of rainforest. I had the chance to visit and I was like, ang init dito, pero ang ganda. Gusto ko magtanim. And by chance, I met mentors along the way who would help me make that dream something that's workable. So we didn't have money back then to buy trees. So I said, let me start a tour and then let me use the money for the tour to reforest. So we called it Tribes and Trends. Right? It's in Zambales. And this is the ancestral domain of the community. So you can walk. It's a 10-kilometer walk. Not everyone likes to walk, so we later added ground carabaos to the program. And then when you get there, there's immersion, archery, right? There's herbal medicine, so they'll teach you about stomach ache, headache, so you've got skin asthma, snake poison. These are things that they can heal in their herbs. And then we coach the community on cooking. Masarap naman magluto yung mga community eh. They just don't know ano ba yung match sa bisita. That's where we come into play. We have to understand the market and make it easy for them to implement. So, then there's dancing and then planting, right? Because planting is really the reason why we did all this. So after our first successful tour, we brought 20 people. So I go to Chieftain. I said, Chieftain, yung pera, 3,000. Salamat. 3,000 then in 2016. Took in about a month and a half to get. It's a big amount there. And then he says, sir, huwag mo na akong bayaran. Tapos ako, bakit? I'm shocked. Internally, I'm like, why is Chieftain rejecting the money? Kasi I was taught that you must teach a man to fish, therefore give him livelihood. So he earns money in a dignified way. So you're saying, so because there's Chieftain, nakari na yung pera, I'm applying the lesson I learned. And then Chieftain said, sir, pag binigyan mo ako ng pera, baka magastos ko sa loob, sa trino ng kape, sa sigarilyo. Hindi naman yan papakinabangan ng community namin ng matagal. So ako naman, I said, sige po, naintindihan niyo, pero nakaliya, dapat bayaran kita. Ano ba gusto mo? And then he turned around and said, tignan mo yung lupang inununo namin. Nakakalaki. Pero nakatimawang, wala naman. Kung seryoso ka natutulong, dalhan mo kami ng mga buto at baby. Kasi yun, itatanim. At kahit nakawin, yung magnanakaw, itatanim na yun. At makikinabang ang kabataan sa aming barangay, sa aming bayan. And so, here I was thinking I could teach him about business. But no, Rosenberg, he's teaching me about business. He's teaching me about sustainability and regeneration. So we followed Chieftain's advice. And the first thing we did was we picked up seeds. I wish I had stronger our before and after. We started planting. So most of the planting was funded by guests. So the plan, there's a law that states you're supposed to plant one tree every year for your life. So if you're 18, 19, 20, you should have 20 trees. So that's the basic premise. No? Some people will plant 10, some will plant 5, some of them will plant 100. So masaya. Now, one of the elders went up to us and said, Sir, kalikasan ka naman. And the elder went on to explain a story. She illuminated for me what's happening in the system. When she said, kalikasan na naman, she and us, laging may pera para sa magtanim, pero walang pera para sa kabuhayan natin. Referring to, oftentimes, well-meaning, but not holistic programs of Rotary clubs, women's clubs, DNR, local government, CSR programs, where they plan. Some of the planting, I'll pay you for what they plant, and then TY, I leave. The government's program, they're much better. I'll pay you for 3 years, and then I will leave. Because after 3 years, malaki na yung puno. Now, imagine you have worked for 3 years. You're paying for that. And then after 3 years, TY, goodbye. Where do you find work? You're in the middle of nowhere. What are you going to do? You'll be like, wait. Naalala ko, yung lolo ko, nagtotroso lumber. Or yung dad ko, naguguli half the country, uses charcoal for cooking energy. So we like barbecue. You know when I go barbecue sa kali? Those are trees. So be mindful of what you're eating. Diba? And for them, that's super important. No? We had one tour guide na pag wala kami, nag-uuling siya. So I told him, Pre, bawal din na. Diba? Baka mapalong ka. His answer was a story. He said, Sir, nung bata ako, yung lolo ko, binenta niya yung lupa namin sa mga kunat, the straight-haired people. At yung kunat, inutulat ng puno at yumaman, naging milyonaryo. Bakit kami bawal? Di ba lupa namin ito? So, what can you say to that? Is that social injustice, di ba? But it's also, as we talked about it, all they know is extractive economy. Take, but not restore. And so, the next set of interventions we did was focused on something that would be more permanent, something that would restore. Oops. Okay, so this is what we did. We started getting different seeds. So the money achievement declined. We used it to go to Baguio and get seeds from the Good Shepherd Sisters. And planted to bed and coached them how to make Ruby chicks. That was our first mini success. And then seeds, we would pick up seeds. I go to UP, didn't have to pick up seeds kasi maraming talent na. Daming ibang puno, different villages. Yes, would plant. Very soon, trees would grow. Okay? The nice thing about it is the area got progressively cooler as it moved forward. To 13 degrees Celsius cooler at lunchtime. And then trees had flowers bring bees. So now they're selling honey. We're also selling honey here. It's on our website. You can buy it. And then some areas na meron ng talking forest, we said, let's go straight into agroforestry so that we can earn permanently. So we started COVID, we were able to do our online inspection, and then today we've got different fruit trees, and then growing permaculture farm. And then bamboo, I was able to get some of my friends to plant on my birthday. 5 years later, communities harvesting it as raw material for bamboo parols. Biodegradable parols. So the most of the parols are plastic. Right? So it's nice, lasts long time. And then cashew, half the cashew from the country is sourced from China, Vietnam, India. So we started planting. We pick up seeds of cashew, higher the ability to grow it. And then they're selling already. And then the amount increases every year because it takes about 10 years for the cashew trees to So we reached out to the local governments and they were very helpful in connecting us. No? So this is what we mean by economies that are regenerative, that are greener. No? And you can grow a lot talaga that way. So these are the cashew tuloy sa Linden project. Kasi we were planting in the mountains. Love story. And then the women said, "Sir, paano kami? Ayaw namin umakit ng bundok." Sabi ko, "Sige, kasoy na lang." Kasi sa baba yung kasoy. Sabi, "Sige sir, sa amin yung kasoy. Sa lalaki yung munong nanay kasi mahirap na trabaho." So this is the before and after. And to connect to what we learned earlier, no trees, no water. What we have now, more water as well. So we posted last year, went viral, and we're super happy about that. No? However, as in every story, there are challenges. No? And wildfire is today one of our biggest threats. This year, 2 stories of wildfire came out in the news. One was in San Antonio, Zambales, where we used to surf. And the other was in Baguio, by Baguio Country Club and Camp John Hay, wildfire. These are actual pictures of our team battling wildfire, and we lost 22,000 trees within a 12-month span. Right? And so, when we started to look at nature and go for our videos, this is what we found. In August, you would have a flood. So ikaw, this guy, gusto niya bumili ng bigas. So he crossed the river. The whole community is watching him. And then 6 months later, same river, wala nang tubig, and then there's wildfire. This was filmed on an actual tour. It's testing for tourists. Not technically, no, diba? We're there na, we have to deal with it. No? Keep them away from the fire. But basically, the community landscapes, many of our landscapes are turning into the book of Revelation of the Bible, where it's flooding and there's fire. You know? So we put on our investigative hat. What's happening? We look at the top. It's a lot of grass. In Baguio, it's pine cones and pine needles. So we're like, ito pala yung dahilan kung bakit umiiyak. This grass is so dry that if you try to start your motorcycle engine, di ba minsan nagkaka-spark? That spark is enough to make it burn. And then strong wind, you fan the flame, then it'll jump 5 meters, 10 meters, and then in 6 hours, goodbye mountain. So the question was, how do you stop wildfire? How do you stop fire on top of a mountain where no one's living, where we don't have budget for water, and it's just very far. You have to walk 5 kilometers one way through ash. So what we found was an old world technology. It's called biochar. Another way of making charcoal, but higher technologically. It's an advanced way of doing it. So you get grass, and then you cook it, but you cook it inside. Because normally, when you make charcoal, you just burn it, just leave it outside, and then the embers, the black stuff, that's charcoal. Here, we have a metal cooking device. It could be this caldero. It can be a metal kiln or an oven, right? But you cook it. And when you burn it inside, you reduce the oxygen, and then you increase the temperature up to 500 to 1,000 degrees Celsius. That process is now called pyrolysis, right? And what happens? You get solid carbon. So the nice thing about that carbon called biochar is that it holds 5 times its weight in water. So look at this. 2 boxes of soil, same amount of water, but one has biochar, the other has not. The biochar has greater capacity for holding liquid. It's like comparing 3 blind tissue with 1 blind tissue, right? And then, look at this over here. This plant over here versus the plant in the middle. The plant in the middle is so much taller because it has access to biochar underneath in the middle. The plant on the right and on the left, wala. That's only 5% biochar. That helps plants grow. And this is the community training. So we said, oh, let's train all the community to do it. Let's teach them how to turn grass into biochar so that there's nothing to burn, so the fires don't spread. So preventive. Anyway, we need to cut the grass because that might strangle the trees later on. Pero kumita sila kasi they can sell the biochar. And this is what it looks like now. Open burn, you see on the left, That's fire, that's smoke, that's carbon. That's what's heating our atmosphere. That's what's driving climate change, that black stuff. Versus, you cook it in our metal kiln, you see the air, it's clean. Because the black stuff, the carbon, is trapped inside. I'll play it again, just so that you can see that. Right? So the beauty of science. Right? And this is the net effect, carbon. So instead of it going to the sky to make our planet hotter, we put it back in the ground to heal the soil. Right? So it is a carbon negative process that is encouraged by the likes of MIT, Stanford, Australia, and it's also the base product for charcoal briquettes, which you will see in your favorite Korean restaurants. Now, the nice thing about biochar is you can mix it in your paint, and that paint will suddenly have a carbon coat that prevents rust. Right? It will enhance any yellow roof, and it will also block heat, especially if you play in the colors. White is the coolest. Singapore has mandated all roofs to be white in the city. Sana we do the same here. We're working with a public school in Kainta to pilot that. Okay? And the nice thing, in community, they said, sir, wag muna kayong bumili. We will use the biochar on our own crops first. So here's her testimonial. Yung mga binagay ko ng biochar, kahit puno ng niyog nilagyan, hihihi. Tingnan niyo po yung kalamansin daming bulaklak. Kaya kahit mainit, buhay ko kaya happy mga panagin. So happy community members. And you might be wondering, that's deliberate. Because these guys, most of them, grade 6, grade 7, and first year high school, we need technology that they can do without studying college. And that was perfect. How to cook in a dali. And so, we also want to build sustainability for the future. Right? And so we've been studying lately, looking at benchmarking, and the industry, the construction industry needs help, as mentioned. And what is better than cement and steel? It's wood. Right? It's the only material on the planet that will rival them. Because some of the most beautiful houses in Baguio City are made of hardwoods. They're 50, 60 years old. That's forever if they're maintained properly. And so for us, we're looking deep into bamboo, right? Which is also the future of carbon sequestration. Right? Many agritourism sites will probably be implementing this. And these are sample builds that can, this is in Bali, where we studied. It's the tallest bamboo structure ever in the world now. And the good thing is it also exists already in the Philippines. Smaller structures, no? This is in Davao, Hayat Farm, where they hold bamboo boot camps. The closest one to this site is in Antipolo. Hayat organized a bamboo boot camp where they built a small bamboo chapel. So imagine if this is your tourism operation, right? Very nice. So at the core, we talked about life on land, climate action. People don't take care of what they don't understand, right? I'm sure most of these concepts you're familiar with already, so you have the prerequisite knowledge to understand it. Pero yung pagtatahid-tahid, that's different. And I feel strongly that tourism, it is the tourism industry's responsibility to tie these together. Because it is only in a tourism business where you have environment and economy always be put side by side. Nowhere else. Right? And many times, as you've seen, over-tourism, it has destroyed the environment. Right? And so many examples where tourism replenishes it. Because again, everyone, we're not going to stop eating barbecue. People will continue to want to do charcoal, right? So we need that kind of interventions. Now, I'm showing you this map because our future is to expand the restoration into the Sierra Madre, where based on Google Earth, we've seen about 73,000 hectares that needs to be reforested. We'd like to support that, as much as we can. But also, you see down there, that's Manila Bay, right? And this area, this whole area is what we call a bioregion. Meaning, what is the highest peak and what is the body of water that bounds your geography. And for Metro Manila, it's Manila Bay, Laguna de Bay, and the Sierra Madre. That is our bioregion. Right? It might sound a little weird at first because you grow up in Manila, you go to school here. It's a cement jungle. Konti naman yung nature dito eh. But in reality, we're benefiting or being punished by this, and this. Right? And so, all of us who study, live, work here, it's our collective responsibility to do something about that. And that's why the other leg of our regenerative tourism is sea-based, water-based. Now, the other business I started a couple of years ago is called the Circle Hostel. We used to have branches in Zambales, Baler, and now it's just down. COVID was very painful. It's a surf hostel, and surfing is what made me fall in love with the ocean. But this guy, he was the one who was coaching me on surfing. You see all the trash, Who here has surfed before? Raise your hand. Sige nga. For those who surfed before, yung bunganga nyo ba nakasara o nakabukas pag surf? Nakabukas, diba? Imposible na nakasara yan. Ang galing-galing mo naman kung nakasara. No? So, all that trash. So we did our research, and what we found is that the Philippines is one of the largest polluters of plastic, especially for rivers. I have a backup right here. I'm prepared for ayan. Pag nagtapon kayo ng isang pirasong basura, tapos 2 libo kayo, ganyan mangyayari. What's one piece of trash? This is one piece of trash. Where is this? Is the question, right? Now, all rivers lead to the ocean. So it's not where is this now, it's where does it go is the question. And this is where it goes. This is the stomach of a yellowfin tuna. Who here likes to eat sashimi? Raise your hand. Yeah. What you're eating eats plastic. Because the fish cannot tell if it's a plastic bottle cap, another fish, jellyfish, plastic bag. Fish can't tell. We know this. And I'm showing this to you because our country is a beach destination, we're an island nation. And then we have this. Oh, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're killing our own industry because we're using a lot of avoidable waste. Right? Whether it's plastic or other materials, etc. So, Metro Manila itself produces a lot of plastic and it's higher in the city because we're always moving around. There's coffee cups, sachet of this, sachet of shampoo, sachet of toothpaste, and countryside a little less kasi mas maraming wet markets pa. And ito nga, the sad part is that if a piece of plastic lands on a coral, let's say this is coral, plastic there, the coral is 89% more likely to get sick. So it's like giving a vaccine. 89% COVID vaccine efficiency. And then it kills the reef and 1,000 kilos of seafood per hectare per year. So not only does the heat kill our food security, our waste kills our food security. Right? So I asked the question, how much food can Manila Bay produce and how much money are we losing? Right? And here's the infographic. This is what Manila Bay, Laguna de Bay, and Pasig River are worth to us. I got data from the Smithsonian Museum. And then I divided it by 2, just to be safe. It's still a lot of food. Imagine, 3 million kilos Manila Bay, 900,000 kilos Laguna de Bay, actually for 70,000 kilos. Would you eat fish from Manila Bay? Kahit libre? No, they're not. But when we're doing beach cleanups, and we ran one last Friday, and there's a fisherman right there. Fishing, Manila Bay. Malinis naman daw kasi malalim na daw sa shoreline. But whose fault is that? Right? Collectively, it's how we live. Can you please reflect, when was the last time you bought something with plastic wrapping? Because if you bought something in plastic, it did not get recycled. Actually, we have 7% recycling capacity in this country. 7. So anyway, here are the lessons. Less plastic waste equals cheaper food, right? And less plastic waste also means cooler climate. Why? Because to produce plastic, you will it will release 3 kilos of carbon in its lifetime. Because plastic is oil in that sense, no? And plastic waste, is a chunk of total waste. No? So you see that here. No? So sometimes you get this question, sir, hirap naman mag-segregate at mag-recycle kasi madumi na yung plastic po, it's like oil or fat or food, diba? And that's true. The key talaga is to segregate because you cannot recycle plastic if it is contaminated with food oil or any kind of food substance. But the organic substances can be recycled, can be turned into compost, into soil. That could help farms like the IVAs that you saw earlier. Yeah. So, what were our solutions? No? So, with the circle, my friends and I, we started a campaign to get people more involved in plastic, right? And this is our initial campaign against it. This was back in 2017. So we started building with waste, with our walls. This wall is still standing today. Right? Again, before, and then this is after. We just got a nice hard seal. And this wall is 1.5 tons of trash. Imagine if a lot of the walls that did not bear weight. So this wall cannot be because it's a load-bearing wall. But outside, yung pader, yung divider ng property, or your planter box, I'm sure that would be. That doesn't hold a lot of weight. Right? You store so much trash. So that was our initial salvo at it. But we soon realized that the walls will eventually break, the plastic might come out. We're hoping maybe there's more recycling then. But again, when you recycle, you release a lot of carbon into the atmosphere also. So the solution really is to reduce. What can you reduce? Right? That's the key. Now, I took this picture in a coffee bean. I stayed there for 6 hours. And everyone in coffee bean used to take out cup. So listening is ako, and to take out yung mga nag-19. No? And so today, inaaway ko yung mga kahera. No, I don't want your take-out cup. Give me a freaking mug or I have my own. I don't care about your business policy na you have to count by the cups. Adjust. Because the environment will not adjust to your business. It will destroy your business. And for you graduating, you can influence the businesses that you go into, organizations you go into, right? You see the cost now, right? But these are preventable, and that's why we're showing them. Oops, okay. For some reason, anyway, yeah. So when we do events, many times, let's say we do a morning cleanup or tree planting, you will be, nagdadala ng pagkain. And of course, it's packed lunch. So, mamon, individually wrapped, sandwich, individually wrapped in plastic. Oh my God, ang daming plastic. But, talagaan mo ba talaga ang kalikasan? So, we decided to push into zero waste catering as a part of all our programs so that if you want to eat and you don't want to produce waste, we will give it to you. So, this is a sample setup that we have. Right? That's my personal setup actually. Right? This is the guest setup. So they have those triple-decker lunch boxes. Yeah. So ito, masaya yung isang customer namin. Grabe yung dedication and effort, no? Sustainable pack lunch during production shoot. Sana madami pang ganito. And then, what we do, kasi restaurants don't like to work as this, we talk to the local cafeterias. Oh, bili ako 50 packs, tatlong ulam, isang kanin. Pasok ipapasok mo dito, tapos pwede pag-net ko, ito tayo magbukas, happy sila. Kasi, they got the order, pre-order. Right? So, you're encouraging local, we're getting cheap food, but healthy food, because there's a lot of veggies, and there's less waste. Right? Sometimes it's a brutal fight also, we try that in the first years. So, the other thing is when you build, there are new technologies where you can build better. This one, my other half in construction, we're promoting this as well. It's, you mix the plastic into these cement blocks. And then the cement blocks are, it's about 7% plastic, 7% concrete. And then it's a lot stronger than traditional build. Right? It's stackable, it's fast to install, and it's strong. So this one, I like it very good. That's our construction or ABA builds. And this has been used in Shell. I know there's some in UP Diliman because I drive there and I see it. There's a lot of Access, BGC, and Cebu is also being used. There are new products as well coming out. This company, they're taking plastic waste from Pasig River, they're making it into these boards, eco boards. And our program, we call it Level Up Clean Up, because many times people clean up and then they produce waste. So catering reduces that. Many times people clean up, pero pag uwi nila, ang dami pa rin basura. They don't change their lifestyle, and just got feedback on that. So our program targets educating you about one, behaviors you can change, and two, suppliers you can talk to so that you can reduce waste or recycle better. And it's not just plastic, it's glass, clothing, electrical, food, kompleto na. One-stop shop dapat. So at the end, pag-uwi mo, dami mong pwedeng gawin. Kasi alam mo na kung sino kakausapin. So our events, some of them will have circular fashion talk, maybe biochar making, sachets can be turned into pillows, etc. And then ito, this company does charcoal out of coconut husk instead of charcoal from trees. This company recycles plastic into school chairs and crates and trash cans. This company can take your washing machine, broken down washing machine and then analyze it for parts, para hindi sayang yung technology, precious metals. And again, all for our bioregion. It has to be here. It cannot be in Zambales only because masyado siyang malayo, out of sight, out of mind. And our theory of change is simple. Kung Pilipino ka, you probably look at Manila as a source of ideas because it is supposedly the most advanced. Many people come to Manila or Google online, look at what states na gawin ko sa probinsya namin, sa bayan namin, sa city namin. So we need examples here. And that's why for us, we built different community-based tourism sites around the capital. We have 4, 5, 6, 9. So that it's easy for field trips, it's easy for corporate CSR, so you can see with your own eyes. You understand the model and you can bring it back home. That's what we like. Right? And we're looking for partners to work with. So this is what we're MAD. We started as MAD Travel, we're pivoting to MAD Earth. Travel is our method of delivery, but Earth is our final destination. And this is what we do. We do educational impact tours for corporates and for schools, also joiners. We do ecosystem restoration and then we do green economy. Right? So yeah, sana you guys can support. If you want trees planted, birthday gift cards, Christmas gift cards, we have that as well. And we're 1% for the planet approved. Yeah. So if you're interested to learn more, to join our trips, that's my email. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So yun, maraming salamat. Meron ba?
Thank you very much, Raf. So we now open the floor for questions. Ayan, may mga nagtatanong. Sana na-inspire ba kayo ni Raf? Yes. Marami nga.
since 2016. Pero last na kahit lumabas na in 2022 or 2023 na. And I have a question, kasi yung mga dumagat doon, one of their main primary sources of profit is through making kaigins. Pinuputol po nila yung mga trees to make room for whatever kailangan nilang plants na gawin. And para sa, ang naiisip ko po, dahil nga masyado ng maraming trees ang nakakat down sa country natin, sa mga provinces, parang hindi rin, is it good to encourage them na huwag nang mag-cut down ng trees kung yun naman po yung primary na livelihood nila?
Thanks for asking. Share that story. It's very common. Parang yung nakita ko kanina, yung nag-uwi. Yeah. And that's why we're in this time of what we call, we need a just transition. Kung mali ginagawa mo ngayon, palitan mo na. Pero kailangan mo tulungan. You can't just tell them to stop. So in our community, when the flood hit, it destroyed 90% of all our rice farms in Zambales. 90%. And rice is 1/4 of their income. Right? So, ang laki nun. And then hindi na namin maayos yung rice farm nila kasi permanent yung soil damage due to the harm. So, ginawa namin, isip-isip, kapag nag-isip, yung iba nagpupunta na ng kahoy, yung mga tinanim nila, they started cutting it immediately. Kasi kabuhayan at the feed factory. So we were able to settle on, let's pivot to root crops, let's pivot to gabi and ginger. Kasi the soil is suitable for that. So we needed to study it scientifically, we needed to study the market, give them, and then it takes about 3 months and now they're harvesting. Right? But that's a just transition. But you have to support them. So pag walang support, you cannot tell them to stop. In that sense. Because they have much less than we do. And that's why it's so important that we're able to reach these communities. Because we know naman that our government, there are many people in our government, in the agencies who want to do it, it's limited resources, limited scope, etc. So private sector has to do its part. Okay. So, yeah. Make a scene drive for them.
Yung project yung po ba na gagawin around Sierra Madre, is it like primarily in areas where ancestral lands na dumagat? Kasi if ever po kung kailangan nyo, fluent po ako sa dialect ng mga dumagat. So, masampat sa abyan.
Yeah, sige. Please shoot me an email if you're interested. We are looking at program. Some of the program is where we need support, and it's usually more related to documenting their culture and then making sure that it's usable in tourism so that they can earn their income also.
So businesses always see sustainability as expensive. So I just want to know your take on what would you say to businesses that use plastic and
So sustainability is expensive if you use it as your marketing tool. Agree? Kasi maraming business na ganyan, nakita ko ng ad, eco-friendly products. I said, oh, I'm interested, send me a price list. How is this eco? What material do you use? Where do you throw it at the end of life? So a lot of people use it for bullshit marketing. That's one. That's why it's associated with an expense, because marketing is an expense. Second, on packaging. No? So I'll use Coca-Cola as an example. Kasi we got to chat with them, and we helped them run some cleanups. No? So we asked the president, so sir, ano naman, itong usapan, bakit pa plastic niyan at hindi nag-last? Or hindi bakal? Right? So the first thing he said was, plastic is just so much cheaper. Right? The second thing he said was, there is a pending glass shortage because sand is a limited resource on the planet. And the carbon of the sand of transporting glass, kasi mabigat yung glass, is also quite high. Metal is also a hard resource to come by. No? It's rarer than the oil. So they settled on plastic. And mind you, when plastic was invented, it's invented to stop man from cutting trees for paper packaging. And it even won a Nobel Peace Prize. So imagine, when it was invented, it was the hero. Now it's the villain. So that's important context to understand first. Second, today the government, our government has joined several other governments in putting a plastic tax. Kasi nga, the difference between glass, metal, plastic is that glass and metal have a robust recycling industry. Diba? May kukuha na rin. Right? But plastic, sino makuha? Konti lang. And it's so nakakalat siya. No? Because it's marketed for convenience. Right? But as you see, the beach that's dirty is inconvenient. And what's happening today, let me flip it. No? When business owners use that. Kasi kami, I'm like, shit, should I use plastic packaging or not? No? We try to minimize as much as possible. Ganito na lang. You want to go to a clean beach. How far do you have to travel to go to a beach na walang plastic trash? 2 hours is not enough. 3 hours, 6 hours. If we all stop using plastic, clean up, it would only take you 40 minutes to get to a clean beach. That would be Manila Bay. Right? So that's the cost. You're giving it to someone else. But if they do use plastic, they must at the very least find a recycler for it. And please support recycled products industries also. Kasi that's the only way it will grow. Why can you recycle metal? Because recycled metal has a market. Like in recycled glasses, recycled glass has a market. Until recycled plastic products are not used, recycling will not grow. So these chairs, you can make this out of recycled plastic. Diba? So those are the things that we have to start thinking of now. So it's that age of transition in that sense. It's a little more expensive at the start because, let's be honest, the business is not paying for the cost of disposal. Right? They've always said, but that's not the case. Governments around the world have said, no, business, you sell it, you fix it. So this year, big businesses are required to pick up 50% of all the plastic they sell. 50%. So if you sell 100 plastic bottles, pick up 50. Next year, it's 60, and by 2028, it's 80. Bakit siya na bakit?
Good morning. So, my name is Amanda from the Tourism from Sir Alex class. Sir, may recitation ako. So, question ko lang po. Hindi ko alam kung dahil ba hindi lang ako tinatawag, pero I never got how technology can help yung sa environmental initiatives. Like, may nagtrending po noon na search engine called Ecosia. Tapos, pero medyo hindi ko lang nag-gets kung paano like, pag magsa-search doon, makaka-apply ka ng tree or yung sinasabi nila na kapag nag-release ka ng emails ng inbox ng emails mo, makaka-save ka ng environment. So,
the emails is the energy thing. So if you store something in your inbox, it's not on your computer, but it's in someone else's hard drive. It's in Google's hard drive or Yahoo's hard drive. They have a physical storage, and that physical storage is powered by energy. So for you to access it, it takes all that energy. Pag wala kang storage, wala kang energy. It's something. Simple. No energy consumed, no carbon. So where does our energy come from? Oil, gas. Konti lang yung nuclear, konti lang yung renewable. Next, Ecosia. Ecosia is a search engine. It makes money off advertisements. People pay to post stuff there. Kasi, so they're paying to make your searches free, correct? That's how Google works. The search is free, but the ads not. So what Ecosia is doing is that, okay, for every X number of searches, I will plant one tree. So imbis na pumunta lang sa pocket ng owners, it went to plants. And that's why this one certification I showed you earlier, 1% for the planet. I'm not sure if Ecosia is certified there, but many companies today are saying 1% of our sales must be given back to environmental initiatives. Sales are not profit. Kasi everything naman we get comes from the environment. So the biggest company here is Patagonia, bags and jackets. They started that. So yeah, that's how it's going to go.
So many questions. Raf, meron din sa site na to. Sige, Sam, dito naman.
Ano pong ako po si Gaya ng mga from Sir Adam's class. Yes, so sorry po. Ano pong take niyo, sir, tungkol sa energy crop? Yung mga crop na pinaplant solely to work for energy, na bioenergy.
Pwede naman yun. There is a simulator software that they taught us how to use in MIT, and it shows you here the contribution of bioenergy to the planet. It's quite small, to be honest. So bioenergy is I would call a somewhat neutral energy source, right? It's here, bioenergy. It barely influences carbon. It produces carbon, but it's almost neutral. It's not negative, right? So if you're going to think that bioenergy renewable, renewables better. But if it's bioenergy, just oil and gas, bioenergy is better. Yun nga lang, what's the cost of land? I get it.
Yun nga po, na parang, hindi ko po matandaan kung dito sa Pilipinas, tinry yung energy crop. Tapos, people back down po din kasi yung land na dapat ginagamit pang land for food is ginagamit na for energy crop, which is not good na lang po. So, parang hindi siya applicable sa Pilipinas or mahirap lang po i-realize.
I think I disagree with the statement not good. Different countries have different natural gifts. Some countries have land, some countries don't. We have land. We have so much land that's not used. Right? So we have the capacity to do it. There are countries today that are countries in South America where they don't use oil at all. They're all crop grown by nature. And they're food secure. And because they're not affected by the oil crisis, wala silang mga sa Israel, Middle East stuff. When oil goes up, okay na economy na stable sila kasi they self-produce energy, right, for their cars. So it's not bad. In fact, it's better than oil. No? The question is, can your country allocate enough land for it? And are you efficient enough at growing? Kasi you can grow, but if you grow like, you can grow it efficiently, you can grow it bad. It really depends. But I think here, kaya siya. There are companies already using this here, but it's small in the Philippines.
Raf, dito muna.
Hello po. I'm Angel from Creative Writing. Sa class po ni Ma'am Moretta. I just wanna know your thoughts po on this. So personally, I agree na it's not enough to just reduce waste. Dapat talaga, we have to change our lifestyle. So for example, I try to use tumblers as much as I can, or pay more for clothes na hindi made of cheap materials para hindi na natapon. However, what about the people who don't have the privilege of changing their lifestyles altogether? Like what about the people na hindi afford yung tumblers, or people who can't afford to walang gaanong option to go to actually reduce waste.
I think everyone has the opportunity to reduce waste because 100 years ago, kumakain mo lahat ng tao pero wala plastic. Diba? They still go on picnics, they still travel, but they will use banana leaves, they will use payong, right? They have a glass bottle probably, or they just ask for water from other people there. It's possible. So it's a lifestyle. I believe it's a lifestyle shift. Some lifestyles are easier than others, especially if aided by financial resources. But that's why your decision to change your lifestyle so that you patronize zero waste stuff is a message to all the business owners who have waste. So, I'll give an example. Unilever naki-joyride sa refilling. Sabi na, we'll refill your bottles, pero you deliver only. Ang daming online backlash. You're greedy, for profit lang kayo, kasi ganun. That helps, so you either back off. Okay, anyone na pwede. And then, now they're trying to invest more in the recycling. Is it enough? I don't think so. So we have to push harder. Right? We have to send a message to these corporations na, oy, hindi pwede. So for example, personal story, we ran Coke's cleanup. Coke's the biggest polluter of trash in the world. No? And we had a discussion in the office about should we even be working with Coke. Right? Because they're a polluter. My thought was this, I have an idea on how to make the cleanup zero waste. And I think I can convince them to do the cleanup, pero Coke and can lang pala nila. Which they agreed to, gets naman nila. So I said, these are my terms. And I asked, can we do Coke refilling? And then they explained there's a food grade, blah, blah, blah. So cancel lang. So we have to take these initial steps forward. Right? But because I know that every time you pay, you avoid the plastic. That's a message. It will make them adjust to what the market wants. Right? When I say the market wants, it's what we want as consumers. As bumibili, diba? For example, there was a craze in Ube. Maybe it's still there now. In Baguio, sa Good Shepherd Sisters, you can only buy 2 bottles per person. Kasi sobrang dami. Ang nangyari, kasi sobrang sarap, kumatok siya, yung mga madre, na pansin nila, may pupunta, bibili ng 1,000 bottles, tapos ibenta sa labas times 2 yung presyo. They didn't want that. That's why the 2 bottles per person exists. Ngayon, yung discarded doon, they bring their whole family, pati bata, pinapalahin out. No? And then binibenta sa labas times 2. But anyway, so the market is reacting kasi masarap yung product, diba? Or kasi, so there's a policy shift, but also there was in the operation. What the sisters did is they started talking to our farmers, hey, produce more to it. We'll give you the ube for seeds for free na, just produce it for us. So the businesses, yes, it's their responsibility, but businesses are at the mercy of people to buy from them. And that is all of us. So change your behavior. I swear, mapapansin din ang business. I'm not there, but that's it.
Hello po, I'm Jason. Ma'am Mary's class.
What's your course?
Can you elaborate doon sa sinabi niyo kanina na companies are required to dispose around 50% of what they of the waste they produce po? Is it a law po that covers that? And which companies po yung include the law? And if ever po, kailan kaya ito na-pass? Kasi parang hindi naman siya tama as of the moment.
Okay, well, it's already started here. You can just Google it na. What is the EPR Act? It started 3 years ago. I see it because my friend's part of the group that reports to the Office of the President for recycling. And I see that there are more recycled products coming out. What I presented to you, those products didn't exist 10 years ago, but now there's funding for it. Kung hindi siya tama, it's because it just started, right? And it's only affecting right now large corporations, not the small ones yet. Kasi baka hindi siya kaya ng maliit. However, that means, so it's the likes of Coke, Procter & Gamble, Safeguard, Pantene, and those companies, RFM, mga Ribisco, Payless, ganyan. Now, there's a penalty for this, no? Like, you get 5 million pesos penalty, no? However, they're still in the starting stages of the implementation. It takes years to implement it. And some business owners still think, magbayad na lang ng penalty. Right? When people say, magbayad na lang ng penalty, what strikes me is that you don't understand, therefore you don't care. And that's why forums like this are important. We're looking for companies where we can give the same talks, because we talk to some companies, they change their entire paradigm when they started to understand. I'll give you one success story, Accenture Philippines. I gave this talk in 2017 to them, but it was just a plastic. I came back 2 years later, bawal na plastic sa opisina nila. They really made an effort to change it. They just found one gung-ho person and one boss that kept saying yes. And then, Accenture now has a carbon target. So now, if you ask for a face-to-face meeting, they charge you more kasi you have to travel. And then they discount online meeting, online consultations kasi there's less carbon as well. So they're being forward-thinking about it. Right? And so it requires a lot of work, a lot of support. But there are companies out there that are pushing for it. And so in UP, if you're buying from the stores here, most of them probably don't know about it, don't care about it. But it's growing and it will eventually reach the grassroots. But what they really want is for the large corps to pay for the recycling facilities. Because sila naman yung main proponent yan. It's not really the small one. But if you can convince the small ones, better. And I do have a story for small ones. So in Zambales, yung isang nagtatanim ng kasoy, one day, walking, like 20 guests, bigla na lang may bote ng Coke. Isang ako, nagbili ko siya ng yelo, ganyan. Ibenta niya, 90 per bottle, sakto. Tapos sabi ko, bawal mo yung ibenta. Lalit siya, bakit? Ganyan, pabahan ko to. Sabi ko, may plastic, ayaw namin yan. Palitan mo. Sir, sabi ko, wait, I have an idea. Make calamansi juice, and we'll sell it for you. Use the honey that you grow, and then here's calamansi. Next time I came back, I gave her calamansi plants yan. And then ngayon, wala na po, it's all calamansi juice. So there are alternatives, but again, just transition. Do something about it. Yes, sir.
John, I was just wondering if, other than the plastic bags mentioned and the last Republic mentioned, are you aware of any current bills in Congress or legislative measures that we can sort of support or rally behind the push for environmental sustainability?
There is a carbon proposal for carbon law in Congress, and there are already companies doing it voluntarily. They're counting their carbon already. Because in the US and in Australia and in France, they have a little more advanced mindsets in terms of carbon. In some countries it's law, in the US it's still optional. So I think we'll have to wait. But when you say rally behind it, you want to take action. Taking action is looking at your own lifestyle and asking, where do I reduce my plastic? Do I really need to keep my aircon open? Should my phone even be open during these hours of night saving energy? Right? Is our aircon efficient or not? Maybe we should talk to mom and dad to change it. Right? Is our car clean enough? Engines clean enough? Can I walk? There are many things we can do. And then in terms of consumerism, kasi we're always sold things, no? At some point, the industries to make the climate, to make carbon really doable, the carbon reduction really doable, we have to also reduce the way we buy. So this one, I'll show you. This is a simulator provided by MIT. We run workshops on how to use this. But over here, this is the temperature increased by 2100 if we do not change anything. And then over here, this is the energy. This is coal, this is oil, gas, greenish renewable, and then the pink is bioenergy. Right? Kasi most of our carbon comes from energy. Now, if I reduce economic growth, because people, all businesses say grow, which means buy, new clothes, new shoes, new car, new whatever. If you don't grow, what happens to the carbon? It goes down. Let me replay that. From 3.3 degrees Celsius, it goes down. See the energy shift? That's just by slowing it down, not stopping it, just slowing it down. So what might that mean for you? For me, what it means is I've had these pants for 7 years. Pero pinaka-tailor ko siya. So it's the same. I don't need to buy new ones all the time. Right? It might mean I buy a quality piece of clothing versus fast fashion, which is highly carbon intensive. All the Forever 21s and yung mga fast fashion brands like Zara, call-out brands now. But, diba? You don't need to buy that much. Right? So that's one. No? The other thing, which I think this generation is picking up, is population growth. If population growth lowers, it comes a bit. 0.1 degrees Celsius only yung bawas sa kanya. But I do agree with your assessment about the carbon. Kasi if you tax carbon, and right now in Singapore, carbon is taxed $5 per ton. If you tax it to $100 per ton, what happens to the temperature? However, what that does is it increases our gas price from 50 pesos per liter to be like 90. So, you will rationalize traveling. Airline tickets will skyrocket. Maybe you should even be taking airline vacations every weekend or every month. You have to rationalize that. No? So, being in tourism, you have to think about it. Man, our industry is very disruptive. No? And last week, I was in a DOT Tourism Awards application program. And the committee is interviewing us. Why did you decide to do only Philippine tourism inbound? Your company is very different. Most Philippine companies do outbound, meaning you go to Korea, China, Japan. This is easy money. I said, well, I'm not in it for the money. I want my family to benefit. And it has to be lower carbon. Why do you need to go to Korea to have a 5-star experience when you can have it here? Right? Option pera kung ikot sa atin. Kasi we can serve food just as good. We can grow things as good. Gusto ko mabago. We're going to build that. Okay. No, we can. But it means we must dig deep into our own country and stop looking out for it. So going to travel will make a big difference because your airline tickets probably your biggest carbon footprint of the year. No? So yun siya. Right? So yeah. If you're interested in this, we do offer workshops for this and we're looking for universities that would like to host public events of this, public events. This is a venue. You guys did something. Ayun. So,
How many questions?
sige lang, ubusin natin yung mga
Alright,
guests.
okay.
Good morning po. I am Christian from Sir Alex Cluster po. Taking part again of science education. May gusto lang po akong share about learning sa topic natin ngayon. First is, yung pagbawas ng population makakatulong sa climate change.
Right.
Ang napapag po kasi ako